Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Hearthstone. So this time we've got some warrior victories to get and then some mini-game mode victories to get. Hoping I can pull that off. Let's go ahead and turn on the Hearthstone deck tracker to the right thing. Hop into ranked mode and play. So the other things I forgot to talk about last recording were Twitch has established with the whole Counter-Strike Go gambling debacle, which I think that whole thing is going to disappear in this week. I'm sure enough drama of something else will come up. We could also talk about the PewDiePie FTC Shadow Mordor issue, where it's not even really super focused on PewDiePie, but whatever. Twitch's rules state that you cannot violate the terms of services of a third party.
Ready for action!
Any third party. That seems amazingly broad and unenforceable, but whatever.
It's time for a little blood.
So, effectively, it means if you were using an emulator, you're probably violating the terms of services of how you got a software. If you are maybe using Hearthstone deck trackers, violating the terms of services of Hearthstone. I don't know, I don't think so, but I mean, it seems just incredibly broad, but that's what they're gonna do. That's exactly how it's always gonna be, is they're going to be incredibly broad about everything. And then anything they don't like, they're gonna ban. In the same way that I think YouTube pretty recently changed its rules on hate speech videos to be incredibly broad, and yet I haven't seen any real evidence of anybody getting taken down for it. So I imagine they just legally wanted to give themselves the option and then and not actually enforce it for a while. I'm much more upset right now with YouTube about the fact that College Humor is still getting special treatment, and their annotation links work on cell phones and nobody else's videos do. Seems completely unfair. Completely unfair to me, but I don't know what I was expecting either. I mean, that's YouTube. The other thing is World of Warcraft apparently has a silence penalty, which, as a person who hasn't played World of Warcraft or anything, that I don't know anything about it. So, but yeah, I guess if there's at least enough abusive players on World of Warcraft that now those abusive players can be silenced, which sounds like it's a temporary silence until they investigate. Then it could turn into some kind of more complete ban or other action. This one, this one, this one. And with those two things, that pretty much fills out all the news. So we're still not getting a lot of news. And I don't know if it really helps anything, and it probably doesn't, to sit here and complain about it, but yeah, we definitely don't have a lot of news going on. So the whole FTC thing was the FTC slapped the wrist of Warner Bros. I think after learning more about it and thinking about it a little bit more, they probably were only fair to slap the wrist because they really didn't have their guidance set up And so the FTC screwed up by not having a guidance immediately that was broad enough to cover all new media and all media about disclosures. It seems like Warner Brothers did leave it optionally, yet suggest it under the fold. People say that it was sponsored. That's not good enough. And it probably wasn't good enough. I bet if you did enough research, you would find that there's plenty of cases in which the FTC has come down on people doing deceptive advertising in other medias before that. So disclosure is still is growing as a hobby of mine. I got a new game from a giveaway again, so that's another one that's going in the got free pile. That's really all I'm willing to do as far as disclosing it. Is at the beginning of any game I covered that I got free, I'll say I got it free in the video, and that's it, because honestly, winning something in a giveaway for me is not the same as being given a game from the company. Because I don't think I've even gotten a single game from the company. It's been all these third-party people who want my email for the giveaway, so I'm almost paying for the game for the email. So, but that's another one for me. I don't know if I'm ever gonna be big enough or ideally I would become huge and just be able to skip right over ever having to deal directly with people. So PewDiePie says, and in his response, where he's mostly serious, but he's also as anyone would almost certainly do, he's candy coating it and giving his spin on it. He says he disclosed, but he didn't have a video. He didn't have any of the disclosure in the front of it. But whatever. I mean, PewDiePie is not even a reviewer. There's a difference from what I call myself. I call myself a critic and reviewer. He calls himself just a let's player, which at the end of the day may come back on him, and he may get DMCA'd and not have a fair use claim to something, because if he's saying he's not reviewing things, he's not reviewing them. But I don't give scores like crazy either, so if I'm a reviewer, I'm a pretty lazy one. My reviews are very long form, and it's throughout the whole experience that I'm giving my opinion, not some quick score set, which most people would think a reviewer is just give us the numbers, give us the score. And see, if to get away from the reviewer phrase, if he says he's not a critic, well then if you're not a critic, then it's not really your stated goal to criticize things. You can just be a fan. Plenty of people are fans of things on the internet and just talk about it non-stop, and they only do nice, positive things because they're fans of it. And they may never criticize something. If you're not a critic, it's not really your stated goal to criticize things. I am a critic. It is my goal to criticize things in the hope that that will improve the industry at least a little bit.
It's time for a little blood.
So, yeah, I think PewDiePie still kind of candy coated it, edited it, his response in such a way to blame people for using his name to get clickbait titles, when in reality I think he's falling down that rabbit hole that happens to a lot of people that are famous, and they start getting too many yes men or any yes men around them, and they start thinking they're perfect. And it's not just famous people that this happens to, it's everybody. You've gotta take that step back and evaluate your actions and try to be as objective as possible and realize that you really did make a mistake. And I'm not sure PewDiePie realizes that he did make a mistake. He probably made a mistake that most people would have made, but if all 7+ billion people on the planet make a mistake, it's still a mistake. And I think inherently his first part of that mistake was simply he should have just not gotten in bed with Warner Brothers in the first place. That's, I think, the first major flaw is you should have just not dealt with them. And that's kind of what I'm thinking too. That money probably was really good, and it's really hard to turn down that deal. But when somebody's giving you a lot of money, it's probably because you're compromising yourself somewhere.
Let the pain speak to me.
And so that's more a theological thing. Let's see. Well, I've got the new microphone. I'm not set it up yet, but one of the things that has occurred to me is the Blue Yeti is a huge microphone. It really is, and it must be balanced in a very strange way because of where the mounting screw is. It's like on one half of it, so it doesn't even feel balanced.
What now?
May be thirsty.
And so, let's see, what do I want to do? I think I want to do this one, and then in the turn. So, I'm gonna have just this microphone like right in front of me, in front of my face. And that's one thing about the headset mic that hasn't been a problem. And a lapel mic, while lapel mics would have a lot more problems with other things, it doesn't have a problem of being directly in your line of sight. This thing is just gonna be right in front of me, and I don't know how well that's gonna work. I may have to put it lower so I can see the TV, but then it may be right in the line of my controller. I don't look at my controller that much, but every now and then, it may just be like right in front of everything. I'm also slightly concerned just about the swinging back and forth. This boom mic stand I got is all right, but at certain angles it will fall over because it's a three-legged thing when it really should have probably been a
Start running.
a just round heavy base at the bottom. I got a cheap one, obviously, and if in some future point there might be some new thought there. I kind of wish I could just mount it to my ceiling in some way. I don't know how I could do that, though. That seems a little bit silly. But yeah, there's gonna be a lot of adjustment there, a lot of thought. I could not use the boom mic and get just a table in front of me, like a normal person, and have a computer desk. That would possibly work well too, but I don't see myself doing that. And then I just hit the table and make a bunch of noise that way. But it is surprising I'm even taking this step. This was the step I had hoped to actually jump right over. I had hoped to go to a full soundboard with a full set of standard mics. I may never get to that point. Now, it may not. Since the investment's already there, it may just be better to stick with the Blue Yeti forever. I hope it doesn't give me any trouble with any drivers or anything. There's no CDs or software, so I assume it's just gonna plug in and work. And I hope it has some great like noise, signal to noise ratio, way better than what I have right now, and I'm hoping that's the case. But I have no idea, really.
Handle it.
I suppose since this is an Xbox 360 headset plugged into a controller, then the digital audio converter is in the controller because then it goes to USB to the computer. So that DAC, digital to audio converter, may actually be rather bad. It wouldn't surprise me since it's supposed to just be for chatting while playing like first-person shooters. It may be a huge improvement. Right now I'm playing, I think it's called Strong Bad's Cool Game for Attractive People, or Strong Bad Super Awesome Game for Attractive People. It's this Homestar Runner game. I was never into Homestar Runner. I looked at it, the website's still up, and in fact, even though there was like a hiatus for at least 4 years between 2010 and 2014, he seems to like he's gonna occasionally update it even more. It seems like 1 or 2 animators made Flash animation while they were in college. I knew people that were into it when it first came out. It doesn't work nowadays really well because of Adobe Flash. Let's see, how long are we taking? What can we do? Let's see, Wild Warrior. Nope. Let's play with a Wild Warrior deck. Like a normal person would. So, the jokes are very college bro-ish. It's just like, and I don't know if they're intentionally that way and they're trying to make fun of like frat boys from that time frame, or what, or they're trying to like set them up as something awesome, and I think it may be the latter, and I'm just not into it. It's like, that being said, it hasn't been a miserable experience. I just kind of am behind on recording and want to get everything done. At one point I peaked at 3 months ahead. Now I think I'm down to maybe 2.5 months at most ahead. I just want to get everything done. Like, I was discussing a little bit about how one person said I should probably only release 2 videos a day. It's like, well, eventually I'll get to that. And if I finish and cover all the video games that are old, that are worth covering, 2 episodes a day is very reasonable. Like 1 Hearthstone episode and 1 of the new game that is out, and that would be it.
Are you my master?
So, for example, say Fallout 4, Witcher 3 came out, it would just be 1 episode of that, and then that's it. And then Hearthstone. But right now, it's gonna be a long transition. We still have a few Lego games I want to cover, and until I'm gonna mostly retire that. But I also have kids games too, so it'll probably be another year before I finish all the humongous games. And because of that, that time slot is getting more solidified as being a permanent time slot instead of a temporary time slot. And there's enough puzzle games, there's enough some medium and small independent games, there's enough point and click adventure games and Telltale games. Maybe that stuff will change. Oh, this is a charge deck, I've just realized.
For the king! For honor!
This deck is only designed around the concept of charge. In fact, a lot of my decks are just designed around concepts instead of cards. If I played it better and had like a value chart of each character, I probably would do something like Crippen and do a lot better, because there is, I think, some website out there that puts a value on every single card, and so you could just type in one card versus another card and be handed something that
For the king!
be,
honor.
be told
For
which one
honor.
is better to play. And if there was something like that directly in Hearthstone, that would be nice. I mean, you kind of know, but it's complicated enough to be confused. A 4 mana, 2 attack, 5 health takes a little bit of calculation. Is that better or equal or worse to a 3 mana, 1 attack, 5 health? Is that better? Is that equal? Is that worse? You kind of have to ask yourself that.
For honor. Honor.
See, you'd think a charged deck would win, but Ice Howl here is particularly useless because he can't attack heroes. So what I thought was going to be a game-blowing victory is actually not. Here, apparently a card has shown up that I didn't have in Hearthstone deck tracker, and how that happened, I don't know. I think there may be some bugs of floating going on with
For
the
honor.
Let's see. This,
For honor.
this, and that. I think every now and then Hearthstone deck tracker just forgets some cards that are in my deck or something, I don't know. I think the standard in the wild also offers a big problem. What about the recruiting friends thing? Well, if they're desperately recruiting friends here, it might very well mean that they've felt a loss of players recently, which it wouldn't be super surprising. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of
honor.
this one and this one, and then if this is explosive trap, it's gonna kill 2 more. That's what I figured.
Job's done.
So, what was I talking about? Man, it just slipped my mind.
The symphony of terror begins.
Here we go. We'll just play this one, use its charge to get rid of this guy, and do that. Yeah, I just don't know how I could squeeze all the games I want to cover in fewer time slots. I really don't. Not with maintaining what I've built up to this point. I could certainly put all point-and-click adventures, puzzle games, and small independent games in one time slot, and then just cycle through them. But that means it would probably be about 3 months before I got back to a point-and-click adventure game, because there would be 1 month where I did a point-and-click adventure, one where I did a puzzle, one where I did a small independent thing, and so 3 months I've almost certainly lost any audience there.
Don't worry, loves. The cavalry's here.
For Nomrica!
Let's see.
For the gnomes!
This one. discover a 3-cost card. I don't see a reason to do that.
Giddy up! For hell's scream!
I don't also see a reason to destroy the spider. Let's end the turn. But yes, maybe in 3 years, maybe in 4, maybe in 5. I really see how we would just be out of games completely. I worry about that a little bit because then it's going to be very difficult for me to find new games. And I would be looking at like all the new things that just are available on Steam as soon as they happen, and playing them with really no knowledge of the game about how good they are, whether they're even worth playing at all. Victory. I don't want to become just like Jim Sterling doing Jimpressions. And there we go. Good, let's keep playing. We need at least 2 more victories. We may not make it. Almost certainly not make it. So I think I'll do the rest off screen. But Jim Sterling's doing this new Greenlight Good stuff where he's promoting things, and I'm thinking to myself, well, on one hand, he has stopped just like pooping all over every single bad game on Steam Greenlight and ignoring the good ones. He's starting to promote the good ones, but he has such an audience that he's now literally promoting the good ones, and Jim Sterling has already done voices for specific games and all of this. He's getting more and more tied to the industry. In his efforts to improve the industry, he's become one with the industry, and that's not what I think a critic should do. I think you kind of have to be the Siskel and Ebert, the Richard Roper, like movie critics like that. None of them go and make movies. Now I think I can cut the feet out from under some of my argument here, because I think Siskel and Ebert and Richard Roper probably all have done little cameos in movies, so they have been slightly bribed with some fame there, but they don't go make movies, and they don't actively promote movies. That they simply criticize them. If they say they like a movie, that's not, they do it as much as possible in a way to not promote them. And there's a slight difference there in movie criticism versus promoting or criticizing something that's on a green light system that can be voted up. When you're criticizing a movie, the movie's already made. There's no more funding is going to go to that movie. The only thing you could argue is that in an extremely long run, maybe if you promoted a movie, the sequel would get funded. So maybe you're helping more movies like that getting made, maybe you're helping a sequel get funded. But that original movie that you're actually talking about is already done. If you're promoting something on Greenlight that just looks good, you can say, well, this looks good, but I don't have exact evidence that this is what the game is going to be, or that the game is not going to play awfully, because certainly games can look good and play awfully, or they can sound good and play awfully, or they can look good and sound good in the trailer and then not look or sound anything like that later. So I kind of wonder, are we gonna find out? Probably not, but are we gonna find out that some people start promoting things on Greenlight and drawing people's attention to it, and it turns out that they were either through actual working with the creators of the game or just through a naivety they were working with the game creators.
Oh my God.
Thus you were just being advertised to. And that's what it really gets down to. And I'm talking about this way more than probably I bet anybody besides me
Is
cares.
someone injured?
But what it gets down to is,
Let me change your
as a
mind.
critic, I don't want to get within a mile of actually advertising to people. And I guess that's slightly odd thing to say because I do advertise to people. I mean, certainly through YouTube I put ads and that make my money, my few dollars, which still haven't gotten to 100, but very, very close. I do that by advertising, but I don't know what ads YouTube plays. I could set ads and turn off like video game and gaming ads. I don't even know if I can separate it between the two. It may just be gaming. But those are different based on who is watching them anyways. If you Google shoes, you'll get shoe ads. If you Google video games, you'll get video game ads. So I am advertising to people in this just like double blind way. There's a complete impenetrable barrier there for me to know what ads any of my viewers are going to see. And as soon as that barrier even has like a pinhole where I can see it, then I'm putting myself in a terrible position where I could start thinking, well, this person might get me more money, so I could say it, say good things about it. And I certainly don't want to get to the point where just reading lame ads. The whole Audible, Amazon affiliate programs, I tried that and that was a nightmare, and then I don't think I'm ever going to do it again. So it's just like, I don't think I want to do any of those things. I don't want to do Loot Crate, I don't want to do any of those things, even if they're not video game related. Honestly, I don't want to do Loot Crate because I don't want their garbage. I don't want the junk. So, yeah, I want to be a pure critic. I don't want to add advertisements and start becoming somebody who's here to just push products and convince people to spend money that they shouldn't on games they shouldn't. And it's like, no, that's not what it's about. I'm all in it for the art, regardless of how crazy the art is, or how not interesting the art is, which is another point where I'm certainly going to have to work a little bit harder to make sure covering the home store runner game, to say this isn't my bag and I don't know who would like this game, but it's doing pretty good. I mean, by far it's way better than Bone. Bone was I hate to use the word abortion, but it literally was. They just aborted the development of it. And at least Homestar Runner is going to get its 5 episodes, do its thing, and then we'll be done. Speaking of being done, we're going to be done with this. When you draw a card, reduces cost by 1. Charge can't attack heroes. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna win here. I have so much work to do, and I just want to watch the original Ghostbusters movie again. I was watching it with the special features last night, last night, and now I want to watch it with the director's commentary. The special features on my version of the thing didn't work very well. It would clearly cut in and cut out. In
Don't
such a
worry,
way
Lux, the
that,
cavalry's here.
I'm watching you.
like, it was obvious it was changing video angles, and that kind of sucked.
Giddy up!
Well played.
Job done.
And my PlayStation 3 that I was using to play it was not handling that very well. And I don't think any Blu-ray player is going to handle that very well. There's a lot of stuff in the Blu-rays that just doesn't run as fast enough to be seamless, whereas DVDs felt a lot more just plug and play, but they didn't have as many options. But then most of the options in the Blu-rays are not pleasant. So ideally, if they ever make a new format above Blu-ray, which I kind of hope they do, it would be much more just plug and play. You put the disc in, it plays. No stupid like Java applets running and loading menus and making them program actual executable programs on the discs. Anyways, let's see. We're at 5690 here. I'm going to get these two done, which will leave us at 5850 in gold. And that's pretty good. Well, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos. All that helps me out. If you want to support me, you can click on my name, Rydo. On the right will be a blue button that says support this channel. Click it, make a donation. And if you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.